something that we want you to guess first. So to start the lesson, we need a volunteer to sit over here. So Lorraine is going to explain to us about what game we're going to play.
Yeah, so she's going to guess the word, and then every single one of us use a word to describe this thing, explain to her so that she can guess it.
Okay?
Is everyone got it? Yeah.
So we can start from over here. You can tell us, you can say one word, and Mayumi will have to guess from that one word what are you describing, okay? And then the more people give more clues, the more Mayumi will be able to find out the word. Okay?
One word.
One word.
Exam.
Test.
Yep. Apparently it's pretty easy. Good job. Okay, so we don't have to go around. Okay. Good job, Mayumi. Thank you. So,
Yeah, so I know everyone have an experience with tests, but have you ever think of like when do we give our test and how we give our test? So today we're going to talk about how to assess students and how to test students. This sheet is kind of an example of test. So this is our objectives for today. The first one is learners are able to come up with multiple ways to test assess students' learning. The second, learners understand the importance of assessing students' learning and giving ideas. The last one, learners are able to motivate students to be tested and assessed.
right. These are our 3 learning objectives. Now, I have here pass around a piece of worksheet. So right now what we're going to do is I'm going to go through a small presentation and to give us a better knowledge of what a test really is and how can we give tests or we can give evaluations to students in the classroom. So, oh, black one.
Right here next to you, next to him. Like, oh.
Right. Sorry about that. Right. So as we go through these slides, I want you to answer the questions according to the answer that is written down on the slide. Okay, so. Okay, so question number 1 is, what is the purpose of the test? Can someone read what is written down?
The major reason for giving a test is to find out if the students have accomplished the objectives of the assignment.
Okay, thank you. So the major objectives, it says there, the major reason is to find out if the students have accomplished the objectives. So what does it mean to accomplish the objectives?
They understood their correctly.
Yeah. Good. And what else? So can you say the purpose, because who agrees here that I think most of us think that tests are just a way for us to make students' life harder. Things like that, yeah? But it's not the reason. The reason for why teachers give tests is actually because they want to find out if we have accomplished the objective, if we have truly understand what the teachers have taught us. So that's the essence of giving a test. Okay. Question number 2 is, when do you write the test? Can someone the next one? Yuri?
The test must be written even before the lesson begins because the test will be used to assess for student learning.
So when is it? Before. That's in capital letters over there. It's before the student learning, because how can you assess someone's learning? How can you test someone's learning if you write it after? That means you're not truly prepared. You didn't have the objectives prepared. If you have your objectives prepared before the lesson even begins, then it must be easy for you to understand and to know at the end of the day what you're going to test. And what you're going to teach will go along with what you're going to test the students on at the end of the day. So tests have to be written before. Next. So remember that tests do not determine objectives, but the objectives have to determine the test. That is why tests are written before the lesson even begins. All right, can somebody else read?
The primary role of a teacher is not to grade a student. The teacher's main role is to help every student reach the highest possible level of achievement. To teach for accomplishment, use objectives and a criterion reference test.
Thank you. So, as a teacher, it is important for us to grade our students, of course. That's probably why we're paid, because we need to be able to give grades, right? We need to, especially parents want to see how their students are doing, and the only way to see that is through grades. But the main role is to help the student to reach the highest level of potential. So what we need to care is about the student's potential. It's not about the grade at the end of the day, but whether or not they've obtained the knowledge. And we do that through, again, objectives and criterion reference tests. What are exactly criterion reference tests? So we have 2 kinds of tests. So the 2 kinds of tests that we are talking about is, number 1, we have formative, and the other one is summative. And we've actually learned about this as well as we are learning lesson plans throughout the semester, how almost every aspect of the lesson plan has to have like a formative assessment, summative assessment. And you need to understand what the students know before and what they have gained after you've given the test, right? Okay. And someone from here?
Formative tests are given before and during the lesson. They're used to determine what remediation is needed for a student to master the content, skill, or objective. Summative tests are given at the end of the year when you want to sum up what the student has learned and then to determine a grade.
So that's pretty clear. That's not okay. Thank you. Thanks. So effective teachers give students what we call a scoring guide. Now this is what as teachers we probably have to be most careful about. It's a scoring guide that spells out how students can earn points or a grade for accomplishing a lesson. So it's if you get an A, if you get a B, if you get a C, that's all of those scores. In Indonesia we use numbers. We use 90 and 100 means you get a perfect score. So that is what we call the scoring guide. So a scoring guide basically defines achievements so students can work for accomplishments. If you get like the easiest example that we're just given this but not the shoot, and so this is like our scoring guide. It's a rubric where we know where can we improve and what have we done right. And this is the scoring guide, and this is what's important for us to do as teachers. There are 3 parts of the scoring guide: criteria, point values, and performance expected. These 3 parts of the scoring guide have to be included in anything you write in the rubric. And if you want to put an A, you need to figure out why do you put an A. What are the criteria to get an A? And what does it mean to get an A? What the student has to accomplish to get an A? And the performance expected is how much effort, for instance, that the student put to get an A. Did they put a lot of effort, or is it like one study the night beforehand and then just pass the exam? What is there? the cute lastly, funny line. This is from my, I don't know, let's see the picture, but that's actually, this is probably too light. This is actually from one of my favorite TV shows. Used to be my favorite TV shows. It's from Glee. If you guys know Mike Chang, like, because he got an A and then they said like it's an Asian F. A minus is an Asian F. Like, who here, by a raise of hand, who here, if you get a B, you think like you punish yourself really harshly sometimes? I think we're all, at one point or another, have gone through that. So, this is a problem actually, because our job as a teacher, as teachers, is not, of course we want our students to get perfect grades, but we don't want them to punish themselves if they don't get perfect grades. What we want is for the students to be able to accomplish their best potentials, not to get an A. That should never be the objective of the lesson. Has anybody heard about the rote versus deep learning, shallow versus deep learning? For shallow learning, you just study the night before the test, and then you study it all, and then the day of the exam, you pass the test, and then you forget about what you've learned the next day. We don't want to do that. As teachers, we want the students to retain information, use it, and then evaluate it on the test, and it will show based on the how good your knowledge are on the test. So it doesn't mean you get an A minus, you're a bad student. Okay. So if you get even if you get an A minus, and but you retain more knowledge, that's more important than just getting an A. Okay. So, all right. I'm going to turn over the time now to Nale, who's going to take us to the group work.
Okay. I'll divide you in guys in 4 groups, and once I said go, everyone has to go to the various groups. So group number 1 will be this side, 2, 3, then number 4 will be here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Ready? Go.
You're always being like screw.
Oh, excuse me, ma'am. I'm 4.
Are you 3?
Sorry.
3. Sorry, sister. Right there. Number 4.
Let's go. Group 3.
Group 3 is right there.
Group 3 is right here. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, this is 4. I was looking at the wrong page.
So that's number 1.
Nale. Put group 2 over
Okay.
here, so you don't have to
Go
move.
ahead.
Group 4, go over there. Group 2 over here.
Let's go 4.
Group 4 over there.
Okay. Well, it is what you guys have every group. Okay, with the chart that you have, I want you guys to draw a motivation poster that will encourage your students when they take a test. Any poster, anything that you can that motivates your student when they take the test, or
And we have small number group, I don't know why.
It's not going to be descriptive.
can you go back to the group?
Oh, there's 5 people there.
Any any poster, any drawing that you will motivate your students when they take a test. You can use quotes, you can use any pictures or song or anything.
Okay, so on the piece of paper, everybody get a piece of paper in each group. So on that piece of paper, you're gonna point a person in that group who's going to draw. Another person will come up with a quote. So this person will just think of a quote, and then another person will write down the quote, and then the other person will color it in the end. If you have 5 people in a group, that means the extra person will help out with the drawing. Okay? And what you're going to draw here is it's a motivational poster. Has anyone ever seen a motivational poster before? Do you guys know the keep calm and move forward or keep calm and carry on poster? Those are what we call motivational posters. So, actually, I have an example, but
I'll give you only 2 minutes.
Okay, before you decide anything, can I have everybody's attention? So,
Yeah, we only have 2 minutes, so we should just go for it.
Okay. Maybe someone else can change it.
Yeah, but it's only a test.
So, what we want is to motivate the students for better achievements, higher level of achievements, not for them to get an A. So I have actually here a couple of examples. You can't probably see because the projector's not working right now, but this one, keep calm and ace that test. That one is, do you think so? Oh, there you go. Awesome. Okay. So,
Is that your background? Is that what your background is? Try function.
There you go, show 'em.
Or is that just or
thank you. There you go. Do you think this is a good or a bad motivation? Good motivation. Good motivation?
It's bad because they think they have to have an A to begin.
That's right. Good job.
Let's have 2 more minutes.
So, what you probably want will be something like this. Destroy. It doesn't necessarily, this one is more like a funny, it's like a joke. What we want is to get the minds of the students to give their all. They have to give their all, not to focus on the final grade, but to just give their all.
and then we want to just say like
Okay, you got 30 more seconds before we move on to the next one. 29,
No, you got 1 minute.
27.
Wait, you're.
Oh, let's put on the timer.
8 more seconds.
What? 2 more minutes.
No.
30? All right.
and then you do it right.
Okay. All right, everybody done? No. Not yet? All right. So, since we do not have time right now, once everybody's done, let's say we're going to, if we have time, we're going to finish this, but if we don't, we're going to continue it the next day. What we're going to do is we're going to put this, there you go. We're going to post everybody's posters around the room, and then tomorrow, we're gonna come back here and we're going to discuss about what we have posted, so that part will be the assessment. All right, actually, we do have one last activity, but
It's time's up.
it's time's up. Okay. The last activity that we wanted to do is actually to assess your knowledge. We're going to have everybody come up, each one from each group will come up, and then we're going to answer this question about how do you evaluate your students. But since we don't have time, then that's all for the lesson. Okay.